all around us. America's main food source. Farms have been around since the early ages. But how do they survive the rise and falls of the economy and the government? Are they good for us or a terrible influence? Let's discuss.
All right, let's talk prices, specifically agricultural subsidies. What are they, you ask? Well, ag subsidies are the government incentive given to farmers for agriculture and agribusiness. Subsidies are given to these people to encourage farmers to grow certain crops that the government needs. They also are given to supplement income in order to help farms and agribusinesses stay in business and working well. What do you think the price of land is, and how does it affect?
So the average price of land is around $9,572 per acre. That affects the buyer, the seller, and even the community around them. The buyer, because, well, they're the ones having to pay that money. They have to get a loan out of the bank, obviously. The seller, they're making all that money. They most likely will have to pay some sort of, tax on it. And then the community, because it depends on who buys the land. Like, if the buyer is like a big company and they're gonna put houses on it, well, then there's more houses for the community, meaning more people are going to move into the community.
Yeah.
So how does this affect consumer prices, stores, and taxpayers?
Well, you see, my husband was a farmer back in the day. Oh, our ranch is so beautiful. Taxpayers, they're affected because their money's being used to pay the farmers for the ag subsidies. The government put $20 billion taxpayer dollars last year towards ag subsidies. Some taxpayers are against it. They just don't understand. But with the government using their money to pay farmers for what they couldn't make, they are helping keep prices in the stores lower. Eventually, it would be ideal to start using less and less subsidies, as we've been paying them since the 1930s.
So what are the diversity of crops, and how do they affect everything?
See, there's an effect on what farmers and agribusinesses plant because different crops have different benefits. Some crops have higher subsidies than others due to different ag subsidies that the government implement. Positive subsidies, like livestock farmers, plant more corn because corn is cheaper to feed the cattle. But it's negative for a crop farmer because crop farmers want the prices higher, but livestock want to keep them low so they can feed their cows for cheap. Subsidizing corn makes everything that the corn is in cheaper, which means that the farmers don't get as much, so they are subsidized.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then we have ethanol. Ethanol, it raised the prices of corn for a while, but until the government regulated it and farmers grew more efficient, so there's too much corn and drove the prices back down.
So how does subsidies affect the soil?
Well, so the farmers use the money they get from subsidies to put that back into the fields to get better soil, which eventually leads to higher yields, and then which eventually can lead to getting less subsidies because you're producing more of that crop.
So tell me about why fruits and vegetables aren't subsidized compared to meat products.
Okay, well, so as Mary said earlier, corn and soy are used by the government for ethanol and a lot of other things. But fruits and vegetables are not really used they're not really in much. They're just they're more expensive, so they're kind of up to the consumers to decide if they want to spend the money on them or not. But then on the other hand, poultry actually does have lots of subsidies because it is used for a lot of public things, such as schools. A lot of the meat we have at school is chicken. So why should I care about all these egg subsidies anyways if I'm not involved in agriculture and I'm not a farmer?
Well, you see, the prices of items in the grocery stores and gas prices, they get higher when there isn't much corn and soybeans and lower when there is. So you want more corn and soybeans so you can get gas for cheap, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And in the national debt, we lose money when the government pays the farmers subsidies, but we gain money when we have more exports to other nations. And as more and more farmers are subsidized, it drains on the government budget as a whole, and it causes small farms to stay in business. As those farms are in the business still, that is possible for, it makes land developers less money because they don't have places for new housing and new buildings.
and it affects the construction market, developers, and everyone involved in that. That